actually in our public meeting now due to the fact that we have been in executive session since 5:30. So we'll move on to public comment, if we have any individuals for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of meeting minutes that require a vote. The meeting minutes from September 4th, 2024. Those minutes are in your packet, so you've had the opportunity to review them. Do we have comments, or do we have a motion?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from Wednesday, September 4th.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the September 4th meeting, 2024, as presented and approved and prepared by Sandy. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have meeting minutes from a great meeting that we had on South Barre Infrastructure on September 5th, 2024. Those meeting minutes have been available to you, and if you have questions, comments, or concerns, let's get a motion and then we can discuss. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the September 5th, 2024 public hearing meeting minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the CMRPC public hearing on the South Barre Infrastructure. Just my comment to thank John and the work that he has done in order to kind of make this all happen. His work and Tammy's work with CMRCP on these matters has been pretty phenomenal, and I certainly thank him for his work. Questions, comments? Have seen none. Those in favor? Those in favor of the CMRPC public hearing?
To approve the minutes. Yep.
First.
We have,
I'll make that motion, yeah.
so we have that motion made, seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, town administrator report. Tammy?
Yep, I don't have too much here. I just wanted to go over the senior center facility usage. John, Betty Jo, and myself sat down after this has been going on, so I just wanted to pass it out to all the select board to look it over. And then Betty Jo has senior center, they have a council on aging meeting on October 2nd, and it's gonna be distributed then. I'm hoping after that, our October meeting, maybe we can then approve this and get this going. So if I could just pass it out for you all to review it and take time to look it over. You don't have to do it tonight.
So this would be new policies governing the way the facility is used for rentals and things like that. After hours, yeah.
Yes. Oh, didn't I give you, I'm sorry.
Not right now. Just say we want.
Okay.
Betty Jo, thank you for your efforts on this matter. The board will review it, and any questions that we have, we'll bring them to your attention and hopefully have a more robust discussion on them at another meeting. Mr. Lipson?
Would these new regulations have room for an organization such as?
I haven't had an opportunity to read it, Stan, yet, so I don't know.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Okay, I'm sure by the next meeting, and obviously this is now a public document, so if you'd like a copy of these, recommendations, they haven't been voted by the board, we certainly can provide that for you.
And these will be looked at by the Council on Aging at their next meeting. So I'm sure there'll be some discussion there, and then there'll be some discussion here after that.
Right.
So.
And then my only other thing is, last meeting we had voted for the carpet for the town clerks and the new town administrator's office, and these are the painting estimates, so I'd like for, to bring this forth and then just get an approval. So our lowest painting came in at $6,250. We had one for $8,000, and then we had one that was $20,800.
Wow.
So obviously my recommendation would be for the $6,250.
Okay, so we
Can use
have,
that through.
recommendations from the town
Yes.
administrator as to which.
It's clever
Clever
painting.
painting.
I'm gonna pass them
Clever
down.
painting.
Clever painting.
Okay, he's a local organization. We have a motion to accept the low bidder.
I move to accept the bid from Clever Painting in the amount of $6,250 for the painting estimate to be funded out of ARPA funds. That's previously approved.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the low bid for painting the town clerk and the select board's new office at $6,250. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If anyone wants to see those.
Tammy, is
I
that
believe
complete? Everything
Yeah,
inside
he
that
did,
whole
yeah,
area?
he actually came back again, the lowest bidder. And he even noticed the painting, me and Sandy actually talked with him, and he even said that he even took pictures of the outside, seeing if there's a leak. So when it rains, we gotta make sure there's no leak there, so he was really good about
Good.
coming back and really looking at it.
I
so.
believe between that and the carpet, that's below what we had set aside in
Yes,
ARPA funds for.
It is, so we're
for
gonna
that
do
project,
blinds
so.
though, it's gonna be very, it's very
Now,
bright in
so you're
there.
all set
Yeah.
with carpet, you're all set with painting now?
Yes, paint, I just
Excellent.
gotta set up timing after this, I'm just gonna call him and see
Okay.
when he can come in, I will announce when that will all be taking place.
Okay,
There was a question.
Matt?
Were you ever able to figure out the balance of ARPA funds versus what has been previously committed?
We are
Yep.
still in the process of that, so,
I mean, the thing of it is, we have a number of agencies within the community who are continuing to seek money that we have not approved yet, waiting to make certain that as we move through the ARPA funding, as you know, we have to have it at least earmarked and under sort of a contract.
Contract.
Yeah,
Right.
by the time December 31st comes. But there are still, so for example, I have the sewer guy down there, Tom, and Tom the other day said to me, you know, we really could use some financial help and assistance on roofing issues down at the sewer plant. So we have lots of things that are sort of still hanging out there as we wait for final approval on a variety of requests.
I think we could use a
Well,
full
or What I'm
update.
trying to say is, we started with a certain number,
Mhm,
we've actually approved a certain amount,
mhm.
the rest is what you're talking about.
Yes.
What have we approved today, and why don't we know that number yet?
Oh, we probably do.
There was a list,
Tammy probably
um,
knows it, I just don't know it off the top of my head.
so I can give you an estimate, but again, there's so much other things that need to be discussed, so about
Yeah.
120,000 if I were to give you an estimate.
Is the balance?
This would be the balance. We still have to do our fire escapes, cause we ran into an issue with that, and I believe there's a few other things.
I mean,
maybe
we
down
have
the
some estimates in
pipeline.
there, do you know what I mean? For the fire escape, we have an estimate to fix that. We may be low, we may be high, I don't know. We're waiting for that engineering study, hopefully that's
Yes, I'll
moving
have to
along
reach back
to
out
get
to him.
that
I
kind
don't
of
know if
thing. So
that's
we have a
gonna
couple relatively major issues like that, so we still wait for some of that. So 120,000 is, I hope, close, and we still have, I still have a list as long as my arm for people within the community, okay, representing the town, who have needs that are
You know, I
legitimate.
understand that, it was more about now those people also have an understanding of the actual value of the bucket left,
Yeah,
that they're all trying to grab from.
yeah, that we're all trying to
Mhm.
grab from. Thank you for that, that was a very good
Thank
description.
Yep.
Tammy, are you all set then?
That's it, yep,
And we have,
thank you.
okay, select board member reports. Do we have any specific reports, other than what's covered later on in the agenda?
Yep, I have some general instructions for the parade day, just for the general public that I just wanted to share. Anyone who's in the parade should have those instructions from the 250th, but for anyone who's just going to watch the parade, there's parking will be established at Felton Field, the Senior Center, Post 2 American Legion, and a bus stop will be provided at Nornay Park. And there will be 2 school buses running all day from those spots to Barre Center, picking up and dropping people off. Handicap parking by sign up at the library, through the library, was how you
Library
sign up for that.
Association.
Yeah. And rear parking lot behind Fidelity Bank will be handicapped, but that will be first come, first serve. The parade route is the post office to Ruggles Lane School. I know the police will have some closures there. One lane of South Street will remain open until just before parade start. And then for the fireworks, firework parking will be in the fields at Stone Cow. Fireworks can be seen at Stone Cow and at Barre Common. So if anyone has questions, the 250th, they have a meeting on Wednesday, but I think that should be helpful for anyone who's just trying to go to the parade.
And I think just to clarify, the Barre Library Association is doing special seating. Okay, there will be seating for seniors and handicapped folks. So those will be, they will not, if you come with, your family of, under say 60, you probably aren't gonna get a seat. You might get to stand, but you won't get a seat. Will be seating for seniors and handicapped individuals, right in the front of the Barre Library on they have a nice piece of sidewalk there, and immediately across the way, if we have that many individuals, we will be seating on that, right on the front of North Common. That's not probably the best seating in the town, because I'm guessing the bands will play down when they come by the Common, and probably a little less as they come by the library. But I think there'll be a wonderful opportunity for people to have a comfortable place to participate in sort of the audience and the excitement of the parade.
What time will it start, and what time will it end?
The thing is gonna start at 1 PM. Imagine how long it will take at a slow pace to walk from the library to Centertown. I'm gonna say 15, 20 minutes. And it'll be slower than it's supposed to be, because there'll be horses. When they pull out, and we're gonna be pulling that large stagecoach, there's a team of 4 horses. I needn't tell any of you who know about horses what will happen when they begin to pull out. They will defecate on the ground. And then there'll be a team of people who are gonna be cleaning up after the stagecoach. So it'll slow things down, and we know that it will be slower than we think. We believe that it will probably be through the whole town by an hour and a half. Would you agree, Chief?
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, there'll be places to stand on the commons, there'll be places to stand all along the parade route, but we're just trying to accommodate, you know, seniors and handicapped folks, because we were really concerned that there wasn't a special place for them. The bleachers and stuff that will be taken from Quabbin Regional and brought down to the center of town. I believe you guys are providing the escort to make that happen. They're bringing some large sets as well as some smaller ones. So that will be where the farmer's market is, that's where the bleachers will be, yeah, South Common. So, you know, a lot of people will be standing, bleachers aren't the most, you know, comfortable things, but at any rate, I know that at the library, the library, Woods Memorial Library, will be providing from about 10:30 to probably 12:30. There'll be things for kids. Books will be given out. There'll be, you know, people in costume, you know, representing various books that the students or children like to read. So the library is doing a lot of different things there to keep people entertained and so on. We'll be providing water for, you know, for people who are, you know, seated with us. And Quabbin Regional is providing the chairs, which with the sleds, so we don't have somebody going one, you know, into the ground with a leg of a chair. So I think we're in good shape with that. They'll be delivering those on Friday afternoon and picking them up on Monday morning, but we'll be storing those in the library for the weekend, because the library will be closed, it's closed Sunday, as you know, and Monday. So I think we're good for, and I want to really impress upon those people who need seating, please, if you haven't signed up somewhere, let us know, because we're kind of counting chairs, and what we don't want to have is have 25 extra people who really need a seat, and we don't have it. So we just,
We
you know,
can bring our own chairs.
well, we don't want you to bring your own chairs, at least to those areas. You can bring your, to anywhere else, because if some people bring their chairs this big. So we will have specific seating, you know, that's level and all of that, and that will be with great seating, because they're not gonna be able to stand. People will be able to stand behind them, but they can't stand for the whole of the parade, if at all. So they really need to have seating, so we're gonna be putting that together.
We did get a clarification from the library today that there's gonna be a drop-off, right across from the library for accessible, so if you're
Excellent.
bringing, cause a lot of them can't get on the buses.
Right,
So they're gonna drop off, across the street from the library, and also that the parking behind the Fidelity Bank is for handicapped placards only.
so I hope that people, it's really hard, because some people don't read the Barre Gazette, some people never go on the forums, you know, it's really hard to get information out. There are some people, believe it or not, who watch these meetings, so that's why John and I are spending a little time talking about the parade, which, and again, my thanks, okay, to the 250th, you know, group and all the work that they've done and continue to do, and I have to say, my thanks, huge thanks, to the people who took it upon themselves. You know, Grove Street Extension, that mess that's been there forever, and I will tell you that Valerie Brewer was the person who spearheaded it, did most of the work herself, but then other people joined in, and that is now pristine. It's amazing what that looks like when it's done. And then the Bates, shall we say, I think they call it the Bates Fountain, and it was just all overgrown. I will thank Mark for coming with his chainsaw and taking down some trees, and also some trees that were overgrown on benches. Those are all gone. And then also Garth Dixon for doing some, shall we say, extensive weed whacking, extensive. And then I would thank also, again, Valerie Brewer and Ann Mills, who donated some beautiful flowers on that Bates fountain. So the place looks better every day, and it's only because of a lot of specific individuals who stepped up and did some extra work, a lot of extra work on that Grove Street extension. So my public thanks to them. My public thanks also to the 250th group. They're working very hard, and any way that we can help and assist them, I hope they won't hesitate to ask. Okay, anybody else, selectmen reports, anything special anybody else have?
Not really. I met with Tom Gravel, just to kind of put my eyes on the town fire road drainage thing. I don't know if you've been up there, John?
Oh, yeah, I go over
Okay,
there.
I haven't seen it, and so
Mhm.
I met with him the other day, and then also the chief of police and myself walked the town property that needs to be posted or whatever, and I reached out to an individual from the Fish and Game. They're interested in purchasing a piece of land, something to bounce off, the board at a later date or whatever, so, I think, because the rail trail runs right through it, and.
Potential future rail trail, so it's,
Yeah, well, the
it's a
old
little bit
railroad
influenced.
runs right through it, so, they're very interested in it, and, they've passed on the information, so.
And I know you're probably saying, well, why would we sell that piece of land? Why are we paying attention to that? That is an area where a lot of dirt bikers and four-wheelers, and the people who live immediately adjacent to it on Route 67 is awful. Every weekend, it is dawn till dusk, till you can't stand it. And I am now lucky enough to be on their phone, and they just play the music for me, which is back and forth. It is very, very, upsetting and intrusive to all of those folks who live immediately adjacent to that property. We know, and the chief has had a lot of conversations with me about this sometimes on Sunday afternoon, where we know we have to post it, minimally, we have to post it. It's not something we can just roll a boulder in front of and then they can't use it, it's not. And the land is not used, it's an old gravel pit that's been pretty much exhausted.
I've actually heard from other people who live in that area that they do use it for other reasons, for cross-country skiing in the
Oh,
winter, that people do go out there to hunt at times. There's access to other areas for fishing. So I think it might be worth considering
Okay.
some additional uses that are already being used for it. One person I talked to actually said the four-wheelers and dirt bikes are less intrusive than when the pit was being dug out, so,
Well, I know some people would.
It is part of the watershed.
yeah.
Well, anyway, John, definitely, we can certainly have lots of conversations about this. I just want the people to know who find this really a very bad neighbor, that we are thinking about it, we're working on it, and we just haven't ignored it.
And there could be some options to
Yeah.
restrict motorized vehicles
Right.
that would still allow people who want to go
Cross-country.
through cross-country skiing in the winter to go through that.
Yeah, I was
town
gonna
parcel.
say, we could post it, just no motorized vehicles.
Yes.
Right.
One consideration that we kind of came across though is that two of the major entryways to that gravel pit are the rail trail.
Mhm.
So that raises questions as to whether or not we can post the rail trail, because that's owned, I believe, by a land trust or something. I don't think that the actual rail.
But I think they probably prohibit motorized vehicles, don't they, rail trail?
Yes, they don't allow them. no.
Yeah, I mean-
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Central Mass Rail Trail is a little complicated as it is, but there's actually a conference that, I wanna say next month, that I'm planning to
Oh,
go
good.
to, so we can get some better understanding on that.
Good.
I think
So-
Tammy's planning on going to that as well.
2 weeks ago, last Thursday, they also purchased the old,
They-
airport,
They,
the fishing game.
fishing game?
Yeah.
That's a big,
Yeah.
it's a big chunk of land.
Well, no, I'm sorry, I think it was, the land trust purchased it, then they sell it to the, fishing game.
Yeah.
I'd say there's some agreement,
Okay.
but they did just purchase it, and that rail trail does end out at the, airport, it goes through that way,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah,
They're very interested in it, so.
so,
Any correspondence, Sandy? I mean, Tammy, sorry.
No.
Is
Nothing.
that, is the airport no longer can be used, is that what you're telling me?
No.
So you
They're gonna be
can't-
ripping out the runways and taking down the buildings and
Oh, you,
whatnot.
so you can't land any planes there?
Well, they can today,
No, today,
yeah, but, yeah,
eventually, really, wow.
Uh,
I-
Tom?
I live on 67, so, does that mean the flight, thing, the ghost flights, the paragliders, are those going as well, or are they done?
from what I'm told.
That used to be a very busy little airport
Mhm.
years ago. Steve will remember that, I will remember that.
I've heard stories of it, as we talk about the four-wheelers and whatnot.
Yeah.
For my house, I really can't, I can hear them once in a while, there's an odd one or two that are loud, but what I hear more is the paragliders. It's just that constant drone of
Oh,
a plane going up for 20 minutes and then comes down, picks up another one, 20 minutes more, it's another, it's just Saturday and Sunday, it's all it is.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, the Central Mass Rail Trail in Barre in particular is one of the, they marked it as one of the most difficult spots because we still have active rail. So that's a
Yeah.
potential alternative path, is by the airport instead of along the active rail.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of considerations going into that effort to connect all the way to Northampton.
Be nice if it ever happens. Okay, moving along to new business, fire chief information regarding employment status. I know that some of you probably have already heard word on the street, and I would tell you that the word on the street, unfortunately, is that our fire chief has taken another position as in another state. And the depth of that loss, I can't even, words will fail me. It's huge for us, huge. He's decided to participate in another job. He's given his 60-day notice as required in his contract. He will, however, be staying on our fire department as an on-call person. He will also be working on the ambulance on an on-call person. His job is not 5 days a week, so there's some opportunity for him to continue to work at least on an on-call basis, which we are extremely pleased about. Needless to say, the chief is meeting with Tammy and myself tomorrow just to walk us through some of the concerns and so forth that he has as he transitions, and obviously we'll be bringing that information to the full board. It is really I can't tell you, I'm deeply, deeply disappointed in this, and I do wish it would be different, but unfortunately I have to respect, and I guess the board has to respect his decisions. So I will wait until the chief has provided us with more information to ask us to, approve his resignation. But understand that he's given 60-day notice of his intent, so. I don't know if anybody else has any comment about that, but we'll find out more about he will act as a mentor, he will do whatever he needs to do to transition. So, I mean, and his word is good, so I'm thinking that if it has to happen, at least we have an absolutely professional individual who's going to leave us as safe and secure as we possibly can be as he transitions to another job.
Yeah, certainly, sorry to see him go, but I really appreciate the the willingness to help us work through this.
Yep.
So, and I hope it's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, I understand it's a very good opportunity for him, and he's going to be sort of an educator of sorts, and working with the individuals who seek to know more. And I think his reputation statewide as having the skill and talent to teach others and to bring others along is second to none. So we'll certainly miss him, that's for sure. DPW Commission update. Last Thursday?
Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, we met as the DPW Commission. Obviously, the selectmen are part of that commission. And just an update that we have a severance agreement with the DPW superintendent. And we're finalizing that particular situation, I guess, within the next several days. And we will be seeking information as the best way to post and advertise the position.
Is it gonna be hiring within, or are you going out?
Obviously, what we will do is wait till everything is, certified as we move forward. And I believe we will be looking out as well as in. I mean, if there's an in.
I'm not interested.
Well, I'm just saying.
Really asking.
No, but I'm just
Is
saying.
it customary to look within the department?
No, we will definitely be advertising out of house, but we will, of course, if there's an in-house candidate who is strong, we certainly will welcome that application.
Who makes that decision?
The select board and the commission together, so it would be that 9-member board. Town Farm Road drainage, I think we're on the agenda and we're request for proposal. Do we have some information on that, either John?
Oh, before we, do you have a question, Sam?
At the last town meeting, we spoke about changing the commission, the DPW commission.
Yep.
To another
Model.
model.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still working towards that end, or are we just looking for a DPW leader and then deal with the change in model, a business model at a later date?
We have to
Well,
change the business model at a town meeting
Right, that was voted down at that town meeting, so there's no progress in making that change,
at this point.
other than for it to potentially go back to town meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, we wouldn't do it, we wouldn't have a special town meeting. Right now, when we don't have a DPW manager, we wouldn't have a special town meeting to reconsider that at this timely point. Or would we have a special town meeting?
I think that we would have to really understand that we are under the gun. We don't have time to do post and town meetings and look at the structure when you have the 9-member commission there, who is not certainly looking to change their, or relinquish their power and authority. And we need to get on the street, we need to get a very strong candidate to move forward. We've got snow coming and we've got lots and lots of challenges in that department at this time, because we've lost a couple other employees as well.
I think the short answer is there's no, I don't think there's any reason to delay getting a new DPW superintendent. I don't think we have that
The words that
luxury.
you used was relinquish their power and authority was a good terminology. And I guess we'll wait, huh?
Yeah,
I would just put a request out that the board will consider that when we go forward with policy, procedure type bylaws, governmental structure type bylaws, you do that at an annual town meeting when we know we have a greater participation from the town. Special town meetings, in my opinion, are generally done for financial reasons or because you have to meet a ballot and town meeting schedule because of state law. So that's just my thought is, if we could avoid bylaws that aren't strictly money things on special town meetings, I think it really favors the town better.
thank you. Steve?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, when I call the DPW, Jason always, the secretary answers, if I see a pothole in the road, the next day it's fixed. So now what do you do?
Well, we don't have that person to call anymore, and so we live in hope that we will have another person and it will still be fixed.
Yeah, because right now there's nobody working there, I guess, 'cause I went down there the other day, there's not many people there.
Well,
It looks empty
I
out.
suspect it is a little lean on the number of people who are available to us at this time.
Yeah, I don't know, what was the reason did he quit on his own?
I'm
He
sorry?
just, he resigned on his own because
He has another job,
Oh, he does, yeah.
yes. He sought a different opportunity. I don't blame him. He has the opportunity to have a better retirement, to have better health insurance costs. And his retirement over time will be better, because he'll be working in a state situation and not in a local town, state, kind of thing. So I think it's a challenging job and something that he is, I think, been thinking about, and he finally, I think, made the decision. I can't speak for him other than to say, when I've asked him, I said, well, what do you think? And he said, I think it's a great job, I like it very much, and so I believe that's, I take him at his word.
Yeah. When I used to call there, like I said, he took care of things right away for me.
Mhm.
He's always pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Very polite on the phone when I talk to him.
Mhm. Absolutely, I mean, we're not sitting around here clapping, we're saying that,
Yeah.
okay, it's,
No, like I said, he did a good job, I thought.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I see something, I tell him,
Yeah.
taking care of it.
okay, do we have here town road, town farm drainage, and, I will certainly recognize, our extra member of this, because I see him a lot, I almost see him as much as I see Sam, so, Mr. Bell.
So, if you wanna talk about the drainage, feel free, otherwise I could
was
jump
here
in on
to,
the,
you know, someone
yeah,
you made a motion the other day, you're gonna have someone come in
Mhm.
and have it looked at. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd like to
so
give my
that's what-
2 cents worth, seeing as how I own the top third of the hill. Give my 2 cents worth, been there long enough that I've seen all the new houses come in, so I've seen all the stuff that's going on.
Yep.
My question would be, when you look into someone to look at the drainage, do you just grab one out of the phone book? Or you go say, okay, you put out the bid to put it on paper, what needs to be done? What's the protocol?
So what we're looking at here is a request for proposals. So what we would do is we would put this out to all the engineering companies, and they would put forward what their proposal would be for, the cost to do design, to look at it, to figure out what to do. And then from there, once we have those proposals, we would decide which one to go with. Then at that point, you would take whatever plan comes out of it, and then that's either done, by the town or by a contractor, depending on what the situation is at that time.
So the engineering firm, well, further back a bit, where does the money come from that pays that person?
I think we'd have to come out of chapter 90 for this.
Okay, so.
When I brought it up at a DPW commission meeting, essentially the discussion was that, there was other work going on, and the DPW administrator would try to get to it, but, there was other work, so we don't know when that design would happen, or not necessarily design, but, some sort of way to move forward on Town Farm Road. Based on, the situation there, I think it might be worth putting out a request for proposal, that's why it's on here. Putting out a request for proposals, it will tell us, effectively what that scope would cost, and then we can decide from there if we accept it. We're not committing any money putting out this request for proposals.
But we're gonna pay for his expertise to come up with a design, if you will.
Yeah, if we decide to accept one of the proposals, yeah, we would pay for a design.
And is there any guarantee that it'll be a professional outfit that does said work and not the town?
That would be a decision that would be made once there's a plan.
Well, they already went up there once, that was enough.
Well, I would tell you, we're working with a different, group and so forth, so lots of kind of moving parts, I would say.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I tried to assist the moving parts when they put the water line in. And it fell on deaf ears, number one. Number two, if you haven't had the opportunity to walk up the hill or drive up the hill,
I
please
have.
That's
do.
bad.
I have, and it's not, as I go up that, I go, why would anybody live up here?
It's great, because there's less traffic.
Okay. Matt?
Just to clarify, if I'm correct, understanding the RFP process. And maybe this helps answer his questions about, it's a professional, is that process usually requires a submittal from the company of a portfolio of their experience and their ability to do the exact work you're asking them to do. And so what they do is they get these portfolios from the different bidders or submitters to the bid. And then there's a group that reviews them all and says, this is the smartest, best applicable for our need. And then they make a decision then to move forward with a proposal or not based on that review. So it does kind of force a certain level of professionalism by the way the package is bid. They kind of call out what you need to provide to verify you know what you're doing. Have you ever worked in Massachusetts? Do you understand these rules, these bylaws? Different things like that come into play as you present it. So when they submit their proposal, they're trying to show you why they actually are good at what they're doing. Now, after it's done, I do agree, there are some professionals that don't listen to people, and there are some that do. That's a different story once the proposal starts on how they wanna make sure there's some, maybe some input initially to say, hey, please pay attention to this or that, and then it kinda just goes on the record, and then you gotta get out of their way and let them manage the contractor at that point.
Yeah, so that's, portfolio aspect is what would help us select someone to design it. And if the costs are too high for that, you know, we can reconsider if we do want DPW to put whatever they see fit. I think just with the unique aspects of that road, with the the volume of water that goes rushing down there, I mean, the fact it was getting sanded, you know, had to get sanded regularly when there was no precipitation, I think it's probably worth having it looked at by an engineering company. And then once there is that design, that's when, you know, it would either go out to a contractor, and then it would be a bidding process at that point. So it would, you know, typically go to the lowest bidder, or it could be done in-house following that plan. There's also the option then, if it goes to a contractor, to hire an engineer to oversee, to make sure it's done properly. So that could also be considered, but that's another additional cost that would have to be
You
factored
were
into
just
it.
mentioning about the drainage. What about repaving the road correctly? As Mark and I took a walk up in there, the area that was patched, they dug up, and don't get me started on that patch job, okay? The bottom line is that where they filled it in, there's a rock that's this big sticking out of the ground. If it was done properly, less than a tennis ball of a rock should have been there.
Mhm.
The asphalt was put in, it was spread with an excavator, barely raked out, rolled over with a small, roller, and I just don't think the town has the equipment, certainly not the manpower, to do that type of work correctly. I don't wanna overspend, I know, again, I'm at the top, I feel for the people who are at the bottom, because there's boulders running in the street, it's always full of sand, and now I can think of 3 potholes that are growing daily.
Yeah.
Of people running over.
It's a concerning amount of erosion.
Right. I
So-
know we don't have a lot of money, but I don't think the answer is to do it in-house.
So
Well, I
with,
think-
with the design, with the request for proposals, we would essentially be working with a design engineering company, and typically what they'll do, and I mean, every company's a little different, but typically they'll look at cores of the pavement, and from that determine, you can do this project with mill and overlay, you can do this project with patching, or this is terrible, you need to redo and do full reconstruction. Just my observations on that road, it's probably going to be looking towards full depth construction of the road.
Right.
But that's, something that would come out of the engineering
Right.
for the
Is
road.
it possible, I don't wanna overstep in no way, shape, or form, but whoever does do the analyzing from the top to the bottom.
Mhm.
I've been there 15 years, I've seen a lot go on, and I certainly saw the work that was done just recently. Is it possible that I can give my 2 cents worth of my little knowledge of the road, the water, what was done, what wasn't done, to said person that's gonna put it all on paper for us? 'Cause
Yep.
one of the drainage pipes, to this day, right here, right now, it's clogged solid, that was dumping water on my property, washing it out into my neighbor's, washing his out.
Yeah, I think any input would be valuable for any.
Again, I'm just a nobody, I'm a
No.
well-done white boy here, I'm just trying to be helpful.
You're the person who sees it every day, though.
I do.
And that's valuable information for anyone who's, designing out a roadway. So, and at least it gives them things to look into more deeply. I don't, so, yeah, so
Just trying to
that,
be helpful.
absolutely. No, I think that would be appreciated. So essentially what we would need to do is authorize Tammy to go ahead putting out a request for proposals. Pretty similar to what we did for the Southbury infrastructure study. I know that was a little while ago now, but that's, I believe, the last request for proposal that we did. So it'd be along those lines where we'd put out basically an outline of what we're looking for, and then companies would be able to, provide essentially a resume portfolio type thing that we would look through. So I don't know if there's any. Oh, yeah.
Who's defining that scope that you wanna put in the bid?
So I think we would have to.
Assume the engineer would get it.
Well,
No,
The-
the engineer's
yeah.
responding to
Yeah.
this. Somebody's gotta write a scope they want the engineer to do.
It's gonna have to be either someone we consult with or someone on the commission. And let's face it, we're gonna have to have someone with expertise. It might have been in the past, perhaps, the DPW superintendent, but if that individual's not available to us, it may be someone we have to go out and look at, someone with the expertise to put together the scope.
yeah, I mean, I think we can, see how far we can get it in-house and then
Yeah.
see if maybe CMRPC or other
Mhm.
organizations with some experience like that could look it over. But we do have some examples to work with.
Mhm.
Who would you seek in-house to figure out the drainage? I'm just curious.
No, not for the drainage, just to put together the request for someone to look at the drainage. We're talking about putting together
We're just thinking
the
about
request.
Putting the verbiage on paper in the right tone or the right manner.
The right way to say this road from here to
Generalize
here.
well enough to cover
Yeah.
whatever you might ask them to do if you contract them to do it.
See, in the end,
Yeah.
it's not like an option for us, we have to do it that way.
And where it's a proposal, whoever we go with will put together a full scope that we would then look at. So it'd be on the engineering company to put together the actual scope of work. And then we would go back and forth with them to get that to where it needs to be. So-
Can we use ARPA money to hire someone to do that work?
Well, that would be something that would probably end up being part of the DPW budget / chapter
I
90.
think it'd be more chapter 90,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the town can't hire someone with money that we have to do the job.
Well, reimbursements that we can get, yes.
Yeah, I think, using chapter 90 for roads is more effective than using ARPA money for those when we
absolutely.
can.
I mean, that's.
Just
what
where ARPA money has more flexibility, there's other things.
we need.
And we do have a good amount of chapter 90 money available. I don't have the number on hand, but I know it's a sizable amount, so.
We only need to spend what we need to, just to, health and safety first,
Mhm.
okay? And then the drainage, because that corner down towards the bottom, I'm surprised it wasn't, well, there was one accident last year, you were there,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that trash truck on sideways in the road. That's the only one I'm aware of, but I
Mhm.
just, some of the people that come up and over in the morning or at night, well, we don't have to worry about the bar so much anymore, that's not there, but it was rather entertaining. But, I just don't wanna see one of the new families with kids going to the bus stop, be
In the ice.
involved unwillingly in an accident because of the road conditions, due to the ice and the water that's running off the embankment, not going anywhere except for across the road. Again,
Yeah.
I'm at the top of the hill. I got kids of my own, and I don't wanna see, a child at the other end of the
Yeah.
street. That's the only reason why I'm sitting here.
Well, appreciate it, thank you.
And I've seen him here lots for
I
the
have.
same problem.
I know.
We
So I think
agree.
we gotta give the guy some support.
I think we do.
It's been, discussed at a number of meetings, DPW and here, so we need to find some way to move it forward. So I would
My 2
move.
cents would be to find somebody on the outside
Mhm.
of internal departments
Yep.
to look at it closely and hear the residents on the road of what's what.
Yeah, and that's what the RFP would do,
Would do.
essentially.
It's fallen on deaf ears.
Just a bigger picture, chapter 90 question is, what's the plan for Williamsville Road? Because my understanding is the estimated cost is almost 3 years of chapter 90 money.
So
So
the
if we
problem,
think we have chapter 90 money, I believe we are allowed to roll it into a next year.
you can't use chapter 90 for sewer and water, though.
The
You can
prob-
use it for all the paving,
For the paving,
Drainage
yes.
as
The
well.
but this is a whole drainage
Well, see,
thing.
the thing is, the whole.
You can use it for drainage because that's part of a roadway.
Right.
Sewer and water are not considered part of it.
None of that's happening in Williamsville.
Well, I would just say.
So-
with the
It's all
drainage-
drainage and paving.
Yeah, when the drainage situation that we have is when we had an RFP, we had an engineering firm, a whole big thing, okay? And it came into over $1 million just to do the drainage. And that's when basically, as I sat at that meeting, relatively new to the commission, basically said, ugh.
And weren't they extending the water up over the
That,
top?
that involved water, I believe,
Yeah,
and that was the
water.
problem with it.
Yeah.
So if we move forward with paving Williamsville, that either the water needs to happen first, which we don't have funding for, or we need to skip the water.
Or skip the water.
Those are
They
kind of the
were
two
only
options there.
replacing the water, from what I understood, they gave up extending it.
Yeah, I agree, they gave up the extended, but even replacing it was,
So we need funds to replace the water, or we need to skip that part if we're gonna pave it. Because we can't use chapter 90 for water.
And I get
So,
that, but I'm just
yeah.
talking about that is a huge chapter
Oh,
90
yeah.
project without the water.
we agree.
And we're talking about, we have chapter 90 money that we can spend here or there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's, but we really don't.
Well, it all depends what's.
So if you
where
have
live.
ARPA
If you
money
live
that
on
you
Christian
can
Hill,
use now, because you
if
have
you
to
live on
contract by
Christian
the
Hill,
end of the year.
I get it. If you live on Town Farm Road, I get it.
No, I'm talking about, again, the timing of the first contract available is what you spend your ARPA on, or you lose it.
Oh.
So if you get this bid in and you got a proposal to get this guy under contract before December 31st, maybe it's better to use ARPA,
Well, we don't have enough opera to do either project, even
the
close.
design, the RFP design thing is all, is all.
I would tell you there's a.
I'm throwing it out, I'm sorry, I don't wanna argue it, I
Okay.
apologize.
No,
I just wanted
I'm
an
just
update
saying,
and give you a different perspective.
We can give you a, hey, I'm the person who whines every time, I say, what about Christian Hill? I say, I can't believe those people are still not, carrying kind of a pitchfork down the hill. Cause it is a terrible situation for the buses, for the cars, for the people who've lived there for, I don't know, what, 50 years with the worst road conditions in the community, really. They're terrible.
That is why
First
pavement
time.
maintenance is important. We don't do any pavement maintenance in this town.
Well, that's beyond pavement maintenance. okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
to
had
start
4
with, your
car
roads will
accidents in
last,
front of
your
my
roads
house.
last longer.
4 car accidents in front of my house.
I believe it.
Okay, so, and it has something to do with also how it's graded, not just
Yep.
the fact that it happens to be on this little curve. I don't think everybody's just drunk every time, although I know 2 of them were. Well, one was
That's
stoned,
50%.
one was drunk, one was, I think they just lost themselves on the whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is,
It needs it.
this is the first time I have publicly stated my concern about Williamsville because of my role on the select board prior. I didn't want it to sound like I was calling out for myself, but now I can call out for myself
But
and
isn't it-
also my entire neighborhood
Yeah.
that's been just suffering and waiting. And we never get the update other than, oh, we gave up, it's gonna cost too much. And that's kind of what we hear.
Well, I would tell you, that's what, basically the commission, at least it's probably now 2 years ago when they actually got the final
less than
drawings and
that.
stuff. Was maybe before that?
It was less than that, less than 2 years
Where they
ago.
come up with, this was what it would cost. I mean, the estimate was far and away more than, and that was with the town doing the great big whatever down the bottom of the hill, where this is attached to this and all that, doing that themselves and allowing the rest of it to be done by outside contractors. It was exorbitantly expensive. And then that would leave us with still trying to get it paved. So they did, they just said, well, we're not doing that, so.
But we need to find a way to do that.
Yeah, I agree, and we need to find a way to do the other as
Right.
well.
We need to find a way to make our roads last longer, like I said, pavement
Right.
maintenance on the ones that are being done now.
Yeah,
And because we have 120 miles of road, and if we do 3 miles a year, obviously the road's gotta last 40 years.
well, 40 years is a long time.
That's a long time, so we gotta extend it by,
Yeah.
Right, and there are ways to extend the life, it's defined as road mile years.
Yeah.
Or lane mile years, depending on how you look at it, but.
Well, at any rate, I think we've exhausted the conversation, unfortunately, but.
Well, I think we do need to, make a motion on it.
And the motion would be?
I move to approve, or I move to authorize Tammy to put out a request for proposals for Town Farm Road. I
Second.
move for the town administrator, make it more formal.
We have a motion made and seconded to seek the assistance of the town administrator to get proposals for town farm road drainage issues, correct? We have a motion made and seconded. And I think we need to bring to attention to the DPW commission that we've
Mhm.
requested that. And obviously,
It was discussed at a previous
Yeah,
DPW
yeah.
commission meeting.
obviously their support and help would be essential. We have any further discussion? Hearing none, Tammy, one more job. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, we do finally, this has been a long time in coming, we have the opportunity to make a final payment on the rehab of the restoration of the Barre Bandstand. And the payment that is authorized by the Common Committee is for $3,125 to be paid to the individual who has been responsible for this final work on that particular, shall we say, building. Questions, comments? I would just say, thanking everyone for their patience on that. We've waited a long time for that to be finalized and completed, and it is, and it has been done to the specifications of the Historical Commission as well as society, so that always takes a little more time. So those in favor of approving the final, well, I think,
Yeah,
what I think will be the final payment for the Barre Bandstand, which is $3,125.
I move to approve the payment for Pedro Joe Morales Professional Contractor for the, through the Barre Common Oversight, or on behalf of the Barre Common Oversight Committee, for $3,125 for the repairs to the bandstand.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the payment of $3,125 for the bandstand conservation and restoration work. Those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
And I want you to know, as a citizen, he did one hell of a job.
A couple times because of, things that happened as he's fixed.
He did,
He did.
you don't usually have that kind of craftsmanship available so easily. He
And-
did good.
Yeah, for sure. And a very generous individual with his time, whether we're decorating the common or whatever we're doing, he's available, helpful. We need somebody to unlock the gate to get somebody in. He's really been very helpful. Moving on to the senior center, we do have the senior center director here with us this evening, and she would like to talk about the converting the exercise room in the senior center to a health and wellness room. We have her here for discussion.
Yes, so, I'm here to ask the permission of the select board to seek quotes to, replace the carpet in the exercise room to a vinyl flooring, which would be more conducive to having people come into the building to do foot care, mobile dental, different things.
Do you have you talked with the Council on Aging yet, or is that after
Yes.
we?
No, they're
Okay.
supportive of,
Okay. Do you have money in your budget to make this happen?
yes.
Oh, you're just the perfect person.
We
to
have,
Yeah.
the building improvement fund, which would take care of that.
Excellent,
Great.
okay. Anyone have questions about the specificity of the room now, not being, it has carpeting in it, so for those, okay, I get
Right.
it.
So, twofold in changing it, liability from the exercise equipment that's in there right now. We have a treadmill that's broken, and some other exercise equipment, but liability, we've spoken with town council about, it is a liability to town to have seniors downstairs with no supervision in that room, exercising.
On equipment that may
on
not meet
equipment that-
specification.
Yes,
Because I
and,
bet a lot of it's just donated.
yes, donated.
Yeah, gotcha.
And half of it's not broken.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it would be a better use of space and better use for the seniors, for us to put it into like a multi-purpose of the school, whatever you just said.
Well, I know that there has
Health
been
and wellness.
a need, or at least conversations among seniors about the desire to have the podiatrist services back intact, and the mobile dental work that maybe we could, house there would be really important to the group that uses the senior center. But do we have a motion regarding her recommendation?
So, yeah, I move to authorize the senior center director to seek bids for the conversion from the exercise room to a health and wellness room, including changing the floor.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to authorize the conversion of the exercise room to a health and wellness room by modifications of flooring and so forth. That has been approved also by the Council on Aging, and looking for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for being so patient and waiting for this to get here.
Good for you.
And Betty Jo, if you have any other additional seniors who are looking to get seating and so forth, just kind of give me a jingle or something so we make sure we have enough seats.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're doing some perfunctory stuff now, which is the one-day special liquor license for Seven Saws Brewing LLC to the Barre Awesome Race event on October 6th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sandy, do we have all necessary documents, okay? Do we have a motion? This is an annual event, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And police have seen, everything's good?
Yes,
Okay.
she'll be with it.
Awesome. All right, I move to approve the one-day special liquor license for Seven Saws Brewing LLC for the Barre Awesome Ride on October 6th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the request for a special liquor license for Seven Saws Brewing LLC for the Barre Awesome Ride event that's going to happen on October 6th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have another request to use town property. It is the 250th Anniversary Committee is requesting to use town property, the center in South Barre, I think.
No, it's the Center Common property.
Oh, South. Okay, the South Common, where they have the farmer's market, for the children's pumpkin weighing contest from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Do we have a date on that, Sandy? It just
It's not
says
on there. Oh, 10-5.
10-5.
Yep.
10:05, okay.
Oh, I didn't, wait, oh, sorry.
Okay, so
It's on there.
that's on October 5th,
Yep.
the 250th anniversary. We'd like to use town property for that purpose.
And that's after the farmer's
Yeah.
market moves indoors
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I move to approve the 250th Anniversary Committee's request to use town property for Center and South Common for the pumpkin weighing contest from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. on October 5th.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the 250th Anniversary Committee's request to use town property, South Common, uptown, for the Children's Pumpkin Weighing Contest on October 5th, from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, wage authorization under personnel, and we have wage authorizations for Michaela Kingsbury, Fire Department, going to step 4 at a rate of $20.13. Since we have the other individuals from the from the police department, I'll do them separately. We have a motion.
I move to approve the wage authorization for Michaela Kingsbury to step 4 at $20.13 per hour.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the step increase for Michaela Kingsbury, which would be still step 4 at $20.13 per hour. Those in favor?
Aye.
We have another request for a full-time patrolman to move another step. That would be Zachary Warner, to move to step 3 at $27.96 per hour.
I move to approve the wage increase for Zachary Warner to step 3 for $27.96 per hour, effective September 1st.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the recommendation for a full-time patrolman to move from step 3 to move to step 3 at $27.96, and that gentleman is Zachary Warner. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, time card policy discussion. I'm going to say that we have the time card policy, and we're looking for just a discussion on, and an update on that. This was adopted on August 22nd, and at its adoption, obviously, we've had some requests and concerns from some employees regarding the policy as written. The purpose of the policy is an update to require all employees to report beginning and end times for any and all work reported on each time card. Okay, I'm glad the chief is here because obviously this is something that we've had some concerns for salaried employees who are, have their own individual contract and who are 24/7 on calls. So the idea of having a time card concern seems to be something that is counterintuitive to their responsibilities. So I would say that I've heard complaints or concerns from the fire chief, nothing from you, chief, we did talk about it, but so forth. And so I opened the discussion to see if we can make some modifications that seem to make more sense for various employees. The time card policy obviously is really essential when you have people who are on hourly rate. They have an hourly rate with a particular work day. That is really critical to us, not only to keep track for, their pay, but in this Fair Labor Standards Act, when they get to 40 hours, we owe them extra money. We need to keep track of that. People who are on salaried positions, whether you be the treasurer, whether you be Tammy, whomever, it doesn't matter if you get to 40 hours, you are salaried, keep working. So that's the concern. Some of our salaried employees are finding this a little bit odd and difficult and say, why are we doing this? So I think it's really important that we have a discussion with this and that minimally we authorize, either John, I know because this is something you wanted to discuss, to have some time to discuss the concerns of salaried employees about this particular policy, because it is something that has been met with a good deal of, shall we say, concern. Concern is fair. So that's where we are, and I look to the board for further direction. I mean, I certainly would recommend that we do that, that we put this policy before salaried as well as, because it's important that they understand, why are we doing this? Does this make sense for them? It doesn't make, somebody who's a contracted salary employee, it's really as superintendent of schools, I can't imagine having this request of me. I mean, if they told me to work 92 hours, I was working 92 hours, and so on. So at any rate, I think we need to do something with this other than to understand it's a problem, and we need to continue to address some of the concerns the employees have.
Yeah, I mean, first I would just say, in this, it was written into it that if there are exceptions made in contracts, that's fully expected that contracts will make those exceptions. Perhaps the best way is to briefly open up certain contracts, just to add that language in, to have that effective for individuals where that's necessary. I think there's certainly a balance between making sure that everyone's accountable to the taxpayers, but at the same time,
Right.
understanding the challenges, for salary employees. I think most salary employees already were doing this in town. There's a handful that weren't, but including Tammy, most people in Henry Woods building were, but I understand, certain department heads, there's some challenges there. Also, I don't know, there could be security concerns as well, but I don't know, Chief, if you have.
I would just say that it's very, very ponderous, especially in my position. Like, I take calls from the select board, I take calls
On Sundays,
from,
often.
Yeah.
the lieutenant, Tammy, Saturday, Sunday, after hours. So I think for you to expect me to itemize every single minute that I'm on the phone or that I'm trying to put out fires, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
that's just, it's kind of impractical. I shouldn't say it's kind of impractical, it is very impractical. For me to be keeping track of every single phone call I'm making, if I'm, like right here, if I'm attending a select board meeting, okay, so you want me to put this on my time card? And then you know, I'll make up that time at another date. It's just it's very ponderous from my perspective.
I will say the policy was never intended to set a certain amount of hours for anyone who was salary or to require them to work certain hours. It was more of just recording after the fact so it can be, you know, if there is a major issue, checked against. But I understand that concern, you know.
And I think that one misunderstanding was that also the town clerk was asked to do this. The town clerk is an elected official, and I mean, she didn't have to do this. She doesn't have to do this. She doesn't work for the board. She doesn't report to us, I mean, as much as we might think she does. Sometimes I think I'm working for Ellen, I'll tell you the truth. But, you know, so I know that there were some issues of concern about that. And when it said all employees, who's an employee? Is the town clerk an employee? I guess, because she's compensated. But is she an employee in the way that we can have her do time cards and that kind of stuff? So, I
Well, I guess
know
the
we
question then is, you know, who
should be in,
well, no, who is required to follow the personnel policy?
well, I would say that if the personnel policy was, you know, is not appropriate, we need to modify it.
Right, but I'm still, you know, when it comes to positions like that, you know, who is affected by the personnel policy?
Well, I think it's very specific,
Where-
in my, that's why I think we need to redo this. We need to say, who is, okay, impacted by the personnel policy?
Okay.
Who specifically? Is it people who are on, you know, 8-hour days at hourly rates? That's my
No,
word.
not this particular policy, the personnel policy as a whole.
Oh, okay. I would say
This is a part of.
the personnel policies as a whole obviously have a lot of things in it that aren't happening. Would you agree?
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, without a real deep dive into that with probably outside agencies to help us, because the time to do that is difficult to find. Chief?
I would suggest also that in my position, I'm a policy writer, so I write policy for my department, which I go through the board of selectmen, I allow you to
Yep.
review my policies, and then I implement them. So I would think that my policies supersede the personnel policy. That's just my interpretation of it. I could be wrong.
Well, I think that we're a little lax in understanding the nuance of all of the things we do to keep clear track of our employees. I think, John, would you agree?
I mean, there's clear issues in
Yeah.
certain areas, I mean, not, you know, not bringing up specifics, but
Right.
there's,
So, my understanding is a lot of the personnel policy stuff is actually in the police union contract. So, that supersedes anything you do without the union agreement
Right.
to any change. And so there are certain pieces that are specific to police, and then the rest is just per the personnel policy, so.
Well, not really,
Yes.
because you have that kind of a contract issue with a highway as well.
Right, and so, and then when it comes to has to follow the personnel policy, it's every paid employee. Who's able to enforce that varies, such as DPW is enforced by DPW Commission right now. I believe Ellen is in a situation very similar to where certain elected officials have been before, where court of public opinion and do you reelect them? Until they break a law, not just your policy. That allows you to do other things, but, so that's, from my experience being on the board and the different labor council and things I've gone through, that's how it's consistently been defined to me. It's not that the personnel policy doesn't apply, it's more who's allowed to enforce it.
Well, I think also anything that we can do to clarify is important.
I think there's a lot of, when this policy came up, there's nobody consulted with it. None of the employees were asked. It was kind of brought up at one meeting, and then the very next meeting it was fallen off the hip, and we're gonna do this policy. No employees were discussed with it or brought up like it is now. That's kind of the first thing. The second one is, as far as DPW goes, we all punch time card. That's your start time, end time. And that's kind of been a contention for decades. That's the majority of hourly employees are doing timesheets or however they're doing. Whether it's paid lunch maybe this is the time that, because we're opening this discussion, we start looking at, electronic time cards. Where somebody comes in, swipe, maybe even a fingerprint, ID reader, whatever. Make it equal across the entire town.
I think consistency would be a great this would be a great opportunity to have consistency. Even just, I know discussing with Tammy, there's certain legal language that needs to be on some of the time cards that isn't every, that we need to be consistent in some way, shape, or form. What form that takes, I think, needs some discussion.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that could be a good
And I think it's
opportunity there.
important to
what you're
involve
bringing up.
employees in the discussion.
Absolutely.
But if I may say, what the chief was saying, that he receives phone calls on the weekends, I don't think the man should have to go, oh, I can't take a call, I gotta swipe my card. That's
Well,
To
I don't
me,
think,
his case
I would
is
agree with you 100%.
too much.
I think that's the type of thing that could be, quickly amended in a contract.
I would just,
How many employees are not punching a card right now that would affect if this was implemented? You know that?
Specifically punching a card, or?
Well,
it would only be DPW, we've had
how
a
many
card to
people would
punch,
it
right?
affect that are not
Already giving times?
yet?
Do you know offhand?
So all I'm thinking is I think what you're asking, like, so.
A number, I'm not looking
like,
for departments. just a number.
So, I would say, I'm thinking about the 24/7, like the ones like how Chiefs, he works 24/7, like he really does.
Well, I'd exclude him
Right,
personally.
exactly,
Him, the fire chief.
exactly, so I would say if
Right.
you're asking me that, I mean, everybody fills out a time card, everybody puts in their hours, so
But
there
how many
is.
are not doing it there, if I may
Well, I
complain?
think most of them are
At-
at this
They
point
are all doing
attempting
it.
to do.
At the
attempting
last
to-
round of time cards, after this was put into place, there were 4 people
Oh, I
who,
see what
who
you're
did
saying.
not have their times written.
Was 4 people that are complaining, is that what you're
No,
saying?
there were people who are complaining who did do it, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, because you're making them accountable. In certain cases, excluding the chief, he's got a very high priority job and
Mhm.
is on call 24/7. I get, it, just like the fire department, I was a firefighter, like I told you earlier, it's 24/7. I did it for no money, but obviously the man gets paid.
But, well, I just
Yeah.
think that there's, our effort to get better reporting, done.
Oh, I agree with
That
you
we
there,
need,
but
that we need to involve
receiving a
employees.
phone call on Sunday afternoon from you or somebody
Well, no,
else
listen,
shouldn't be.
I couldn't agree with you more,
Yep.
I'm.
You gotta find that fine line, what's realistic and what is just absurd.
I mean, and I would say, if you work in an organization where there's some employees that punch in and punch out, and other employees that are salaried that don't, think about a school environment. Teachers don't punch in and they don't punch out. They're there to do whatever they're supposed to do, and they do it. And the custodians do, they punch in and they punch out. And it's part of their contract, that's negotiated, blah, blah, blah. And everybody has an hours that they're supposed to be in the building to say that they're working. So I realize that it's different in different environments, but the most important thing is to meet with their employees to get the best understanding of what we're trying to accomplish,
Right.
what they feel is
It's gonna
reasonable.
take more than a 10-minute conversation.
Well, yeah, but it's still, it's not gonna be that big a deal. I think we can come to some reasonable accommodation for various folks, like the fire chief, like the police
Exactly.
chief. I don't think we're crazy about it. I just think we're trying to find a way that gives us an opportunity to say to the public, we're trying to keep track of this.
Yeah,
But that we're not-
making people accountable for their time.
Right.
and the
I think-
taxpayers at the end of the day are paying their
Right.
salaries.
I think the thing is we need to formalize that. We need to formalize, that we don't require this of certain
I agree.
individuals.
I agree.
I just wanted to add too that, as far as electronically clocking in or punching in, for my officers, that's not really realistic because we have minimums, so like there's a 4-hour minimum if they get called in. So what do you do, have them punch in and then wait 4 hours and then punch out? I think that the system that we use now is very effective.
Mhm.
The officers are responsible for filling out their time cards. They're reviewed by a supervisor, they're reviewed by myself, they're reviewed by you guys.
Yep.
I think that the system.
Well,
that we
but
have
What-
works.
These are the conversations we need to have.
Fire's the same way.
Yeah.
And you've got a total different situation, an hours per week thing going on where it's,
Right.
every officer's not always doing 40 one week because of that revolving
Right.
process they got, so it's,
Same thing with fire.
It's a whole different world.
And ambulances.
And we
stuff.
might need to add some of the legal language to those, but, you know, I don't,
So I think it's,
I understand what the board is trying to do, I really do, I just think that for certain positions, it's just in
I think we need to formalize it though, as far as,
well, we need to
you know, to put
formalize
it
it,
into
but we
those
need to
contracts.
involve the people we're impacting with opportunities to be heard and to give us suggestions that would make a lot of sense from their perspective. Because it's easy to sometimes to just sit back and say, I think we'll do this, and it's really not gonna help the fire department at all. And involving people into the process would be helpful.
Right, but there's that balance of helping the fire department, but also ensuring, you know, that the taxpayers know
Yes,
what's going
yeah.
on.
Yeah, well, and you know, obviously, when we adopt regulations or a policy, laying it on the table for a month is probably a good idea to say, okay, we're changing this policy or we're making this addition, and then we put it so the public can see it, and so the people who are impacted by it have an opportunity to be heard. Anyway, so I guess it looks like we are going to be pursuing some input on this time card reporting policy update, and doing that within the next month or two, and trying to come to an agreement with something that works from John's perspective, and he's right to say we have an obligation to report kind of information to the community, but also that makes sense for the employee. Would we need a motion on that, John? Would you wanna, or do we?
Well, I
wanna-
think what we would need to do is, what I personally think we need to do is meet with specific individuals where we would want to
Yeah.
add that to their contract and put that in and formalize it. Personally, I think that's the better approach for this.
I would just say, if it's gonna be a change in working conditions, we're gonna have to be at the table negotiating, understand that with the unions. If we make a
Well,
significant.
all of the unions were already doing this. There's
Okay.
no unions that weren't already reporting
Okay.
times. It's individual contracts.
Okay, on-call fire department people were
Yeah.
doing in and
Yeah,
out?
those are already
Punching in
on
and
there, and then it, you know,
Okay.
it lists, there's in and outs, but there's also call sheets that they're reporting, you know, this call, this many people went,
Mhm.
or these
Yeah.
specific people, and
Right.
that, you know, that covers, because I believe there's also the minimum for fire department, if you show up, there's a minimum, even if you're, you know, not out there as long as that minimum.
Got it. Okay,
So-
well, I mean, I think that we just have to make sure that we have everybody understand what we're trying to accomplish, and not seemingly, you know,
Just
failing to
curious.
listen.
So I'm just listening to everything, and Tammy says majority of the people up in the Henry Woods building were doing this already. Police chief says, you know, they've been doing their policy, it's been working, fire's doing their policy, it's working. DPW's punching in and out. I'm trying to figure out why this policy has all been sudden just blown up, like all of a sudden we have to do this. I'm just curious. 'Cause
It's an important step for accountability to have it
I
solidified.
understand that, but you've got Tammy saying that the majority of the people up here are doing that,
Mhm.
which has accountability, they're doing exactly what you asked. Police is doing it, fire's doing it, DPW employees are doing it. So that's kind of my question is what, if all of these people are doing it, and we have to have accountability and,
Majority's not all,
okay,
so.
Well, we seek to make a more perfect, okay, opportunity for the community and for the employees, so that's what we're trying to do here. We said, okay, maybe people didn't understand it, we didn't understand the amount of specificity that goes into your police department stuff, so now we do. So now we know that what our policy needs to do is to maybe say stuff a little different. It doesn't mean that we don't believe what John and the policy said, it means that, okay, how are we going to implement it? What are the specific regulations that will impact various employee groups? Even though we don't have a lot of employees, we have people who are in very different, you know, kind of categories. Okay, I guess we will put that on our agenda. Tammy, you look tired.
Oh, come
Are
on.
we wearing you out tonight?
No.
Okay, moving along to what I would call the FY '25 annual appointment vote. Want to give us a little insight into that, Tammy?
For annual appointments?
I'm sorry?
Right.
Boards and committees and commissions have to be appointed.
Yeah.
Here, I can jump onto this
Go
one.
for it.
For anyone who's here last time, there were certain committees that we moved away from annual appointments to project-based committees,
Yeah.
specifically 9/11 Memorial, Common Committee, and there was one other, sorry, I just dropped
Fire
it.
department.
Oh, yeah, fire station. And then we also closed the previous, Open Space Committee and
Yeah,
modified that to now be an ongoing one instead of project-based. Where those three are project-specific, those ones will keep the people in them unless they opt out until the project is complete, which I believe most of those, most of those are at various stages. I think Common and 9/11 are, probably getting closer towards their end. So what we do need to do now is formalize the annual appointments to the other committees, commissions, and positions that rotate through annually or on a 3-year basis, different positions run out. So we were able to advertise that these spots were available, but most of these are people who are reapplying to be in the same position again. I don't know if is there anyone new on here?
Can I just say one thing too? I do want to mention on for example, so Ellen and I are gonna be meeting, on Wednesday, the 18th, to look over all the appointments, just to make sure we have everything in order. Just for example, the Insurance Advisory Committee, that pertains to certain, I
Right.
think she said Mass General Law, Chapter 32, hopefully I'm saying that right, I could be wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
it has to be one person from, I think Tom George is on here, he's from the DPW union.
somebody retired.
Someone that's, yeah, Maureen
saying.
she already knows. Someone from the police union, and so there's stipulations that we need to make sure that we are following, so, and the Insurance Advisory Committee is actually a 1-year appointment, which is why you'll see that there's 4 of them on here, and one did actually get appointed, and his, will be, I believe his name is Russell, he's on the police union, and he actually, his annual appointment will end on January 30th, 2025, so that's why you'll see a lot of the Insurance Advisory Committees. I just wanted to state that clearly, just so we know.
Are you saying that you want us to pass over this annual appointment list?
No, you can go ahead and do this, I was
We
just
wanna
simply
vote on it.
saying that we are updating and looking at everything,
Okay.
but yes, definitely do this. Sandy was
Before you have the FY 25 annual appointments of the Animal Inspector, the Cemetery Commission, the Conservation Commission, 2 appointments there, the Insurance Advisory Commission, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people there, Board of Registers of Voters, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we'll be taking action on that. Matt?
In the future, is there a particular date people should be looking at when you post the end of term, where the position is technically open for new applications for your review before just renewing an incumbent?
Yeah, so these actually should be getting reappointed shortly after the new fiscal year begins, but we were trying to reevaluate the system, and we were able to post that these were, open spots, even though people were reapplying. But yeah, so these, I expect in the future we'll be able to have that list, early on, now that we have this system.
Early in the fiscal year.
Tammy, that's what you and Ellen are working.
That's what, exactly, so Ellen and I are working on, making sure that everything is going to be organized, that's why I mentioned the Insurance Advisory, that's a 1-year appointment, she's gonna tell me which ones are 1 year, which ones are 3 years, so I'll know when we need to reach out to, so we're actually will be hopefully on schedule by, June 30th, when your appointment's up, we wanna make sure that our appointments are going forth July 1st.
And that they're advertised out to the
Yeah.
public in case
And advertise
anyone
to the
else
public
wants to
if anybody else
apply.
wants to, exactly.
Yeah.
Are they able to be advertised in advance
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
so that you can then make the nomination?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
so
We're working on that,
The
so it's a work
public
in progress.
should be paying attention in April, May?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
Would it be April, May, or?
I always try to do April, May.
I would
Oh,
say
okay.
April, May, so we know, we'll know by then. Yeah.
Okay, all right then.
So we have the annual appointment list for FY 25 before you, with the Animal Inspector Shad Wells, the Cemetery Commission, okay, we have is David Richard. We have 2 Conservation Commission openings, Edward Floyd Kelly, Lucas Roddy. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, Insurance Advisory Committee, Ellen Glidden, Jonathan Hanson, Thomas George, Michael Landry. We have a board for the Board of Registers of Voters, that would be Priscilla Cobbin. We have the Zoning Board of Appeals appointment of Kathleen Leon Jansen. We need a vote to approve.
I move to approve the annual appointment list as read.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the annual appointment list as read. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Looks like a vote. It appears that we have come to the end of our meeting, and hearing no other objection, I seek motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to adjourn. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, good, John, as read. As read.